I have 3 incredible sons, and over the years of off-roading and overlanding, I have been so fortunate to go out and have some awesome adventures with them and made some great memories. And now that they're older, it's great that they still love to come hang out with their dad out on the trail. And my son, Devin, my oldest, has gotten his first new Jeep that's going to be his new adventure vehicle. We're going to be building it up and having some awesome adventures. And today, we're going to start and tell you all about it. Stay tuned.
It's raining.
The right time. Welcome to TrailRecon. I'm Brad.
And I'm Devin.
And today we are out in Lower Coyote Canyon Trail with Devin's new to him Jeep. And it's a little surreal for me, buddy, because I haven't been out here in a long time, but I was going through like memory lane as we were driving out here. We were talking about it on the radio. Mm-hmm. This is one of the first few trails that I came out here when my Jeep was bone stock.
Years ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool that you're out here on this trail in a bone stock Jeep. Not that it's hard or technical.
No.
What do you think about this area?
It's gorgeous. I mean, today it's like in the mid 70s. It's sunny. There's birds out. It's not too crowded, so it's an amazing spot.
Yeah, it's February and it's in the 70s right now. How lucky are we to be able to come out here to places like this? So, and we marked some pretty cool camp spots along the way, so it'd be kind of good. All right, we're gonna take a deep dive into this Jeep, and we're gonna talk about what it is, how we came across it, what the plan is for it, but just what's the basics? What do we have here? What did we get?
So I got a 2015 Jeep Wrangler Willys Wheeler Edition in Baja Yellow.
Yeah. I love the yellow. It looks so good. I was looking at the rearview mirror. I was like, oh, that's just a good looking color.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even see a lot of the Willys in general, so having the black grille with the yellow, it's a little bit of a nice contrast, just coming stock. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, your mom's Jeep is all yellow.
All yellow.
I like the black accents. I think it really kind of offsets it a little bit. And the Willys Edition it's got some unique features that makes it pretty cool. And we're going to take a deep dive into that here in a second. But I think let's talk about the process of, one, getting a Jeep, but two, why a Jeep? Why did you want a Jeep? I mean, your brother just got that Tacoma. You could have gotten a Tacoma.
I could have gotten a Tacoma, but you may have rubbed off on me a little bit. And then driving Mom's two-door on the last trip we did, I was like, man. Like, I know I want a Jeep, and then I really want a two-door. I just like the capability of it. Just how easy it is, this short wheelbase, being able to get through obstacles. So I knew even being stock, it'd be super capable.
Two doors are unbelievably nimble. And, you don't have to put them on 39-inch tires and 6 inches of lift to make them go places.
Which is good, because I don't want to do that, so.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we started doing a little bit of shopping, and we didn't have the best experience.
No.
So the very first Jeep that we looked at was a Rubicon. I think it was like a 2013.
Yeah, 2013, the first.
It had 100,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
It was more expensive than this one. It was like $26,000. We got this one for just over $22,000. Not a bad price. The test drive in that Rubicon. So we did our due diligence. We went through it, and there were a couple things that it's like, all right, it's got some wear and tear on it or whatever. But we get to the grocery store parking lot, and I think you thought I was a little weird, but I'm like, we're gonna put it in a 4-low and turn the lockers on. It's a good thing we did.
Good thing you did, yeah.
So what happened was we were going through the grocery store parking lot. I'm in 4-low. I turned the lockers on, sway bar disconnect. Everything just seemed to be working just fine. I'm like, all right, let's put it back in two-wheel drive and head back. It was going pretty well. Could not get that rear locker to disengage at all.
No matter what we did.
And so we kind of limped it home at like 20 miles an hour because we had driven a couple miles because we were doing a pretty good test drive.
Yeah.
And we get back to the dealership and we're like, I'm pretty sure I know how to disengage a locker. I've done it once or twice. And they looked at us like we were a little weird, like maybe we didn't know what we were doing or whatnot. But they took it back into the service department, and they came back out later. What did they tell us?
They told us that it was broken.
Yeah,
it didn't work at all.
It was totally broken. They had to rebuild the whole thing, and we're like, man, I'm so glad we didn't buy that and find that out on the trail.
Oh, it would have been awful.
So a good lesson learned for us, and I think for you guys, test drive a vehicle when you're buying it used, push all the buttons, make sure everything works. That's super important.
Yep.
So then a couple days later, we found another one. There was two
There were two, but when we took a closer look at them, they just weren't in that good a condition.
No, not at all, actually.
Not for the price.
No, not for the price. They had all kinds of things going wrong with them. And then they had this one in the back. It wasn't even on the lot yet.
Because this is the one we came over there to look at. And they were like, oh, well, if it's not here, I guess we sold it. And they were like, oh, no, actually, they're fixing the front window of it.
Yeah, yeah. So they were able to go get it, bring it out, and you lit up
I was stoked.
like it was cool. And I was like, this is a pretty good little Jeep. And so we test drove it. We walked around. It is in excellent condition for the price. There's a couple things that we have to address because this was a vehicle that was coming from where?
Hawaii.
Hawaii. So it's been in the salt air, maybe even the salt water, possibly.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things that we have to deal with, but we'll talk about that. But I think it was almost a tell because on the back is that little I don't know some kind of registration plate or whatever. It says 623, which is something to, and you guys can let us know. I don't know what that tag is in Hawaii, but 623. So it expires in June 2023. But it was a sign because your birthday
is June 23rd.
June 23rd. And we're like, that's it. It's talking to us. It's it. So we bought it. We brought it home. And now we're out on the trail for the very first time. And we're going to introduce it to you guys. So what do you say we do a bumper to bumper walkthrough and talk about it and what the plan is?
Let's do it.
Now, before we talk about what we have and the upgrades, let's talk about the vision for this Jeep. What's your plan with this thing? Because I already know you don't want to do 39s and a 6-inch lift.
No, I do not. I saw how that went with Jordan's TJ, so I'd like to steer clear of that. I still want this thing to be drivable to an extent. I want to be able to enjoy it on the road and commuting to places, but I do want it to be capable. I want to be able to overland out of this, but still have it be able to, tackle tougher trails.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't think as a two-door as an overlander, but you're a single young man.
Yep.
You don't have a family and a bunch of kids, and so you can keep, your gear kind of simple. And I think the ideas that we've got for this and your vision, I think, is going to be really, really unique. It's going to be pretty cool. So we're going to do some stuff to it to make it fun.
Oh, yeah.
And make it a little more capable, but we're not going to go tackle like the hardest trail in the world.
No. Nothing too crazy, but I know what I want to do with it. It's going to be cool.
Let's talk about the front. So we've got plastic bumpers with that little gloss center section. I remember when I first got my Jeep and put bigger tires on it, I just hacked off the ends of the plastic bumper because I needed clearance. We probably don't need to do that.
No. I mean, I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, I want my bumper to be shorter, but not going to go the route you went.
So I think we got to think about weight. Yeah. So we don't want to put a big, heavy bumper on there. But we are going to have to put something on there that will support a winch, and the winch is going to add weight. So there's some compromises because having a winch is going to be important. Yep. You're going to be with me on a lot of adventures, but you also want to do some stuff on your own.
Yeah.
So having some good recovery is going to be important. Now, this has halogen headlights. So you've been driving around at night. Probably could use an upgrade.
It's okay.
Yeah. So we can do some LED upgrades for the lights, get some bumper lights. And what do you think? Do you think we need a little more?
I think we need a light bar.
You need a light bar? Yeah. All right, we can do that. We can do a light bar. Something really conservative that kind of fits everything. I think would be cool. I like the black grille. I think it really just accents this so cool. Plastic fenders, and they are a little faded.
Yeah.
But I think in the meantime, they'll probably be okay. I think we can restore these a little bit.
Use some black magic and touch it up.
Yeah, I think so. But eventually maybe look at something else. But I think for what you're going to do, we want a full width fender. So you're not throwing up mud on the side of the Jeep. And so I think that's important. But before we jump into wheels and tires and suspension and kind of what's going on underneath, what engine did we get with this?
It's a 3.6 liter Pentastar V6.
Yeah, and how many miles?
55,000.
55,000 miles, guys, on a 2015 Jeep. To give you some perspective, my Jeep is a 2015 and it has 127,000 miles. This thing's a gem. I mean, this has a lot of life left in it.
Yep.
I think being an island car in Hawaii, it just didn't have an opportunity to put a lot of miles on it. But there's some evidence that it was definitely on an island near the ocean because you can see in the engine bay there's just a little bit of rust speckles, right? So we can clean those up. You can get a little wire brush and do some painting, but there's also some stuff underneath we need to talk about. So let's have that conversation.
Yeah.
All right, so the cool thing about the Willys edition is it's kind of somewhere in between a Rubicon and a Sport.
Yep.
And so we get some unique features like this wheel and tire combo. What do we have?
We have a BFG mud terrain 32-inch and then the 17-inch Rubicon wheels.
Yeah, these are the old style KO2s on here. And we've already noticed that we need to upgrade these pretty quick.
Yes.
So these are cupped, and if you don't know what cupping is, it usually happens on mud terrain tires that haven't been rotated often enough. And if you rub your hands on here, you can just feel how wavy they are. But even worse than that,
You can hear it.
you can hear it. These are very, very loud on the road, and even driving slow when you come to a stop, like, can feel it. So we're going to upgrade these here pretty quick to probably some KM3 mud terrain tires. However, we're going to stay the same size
For now.
for now.
For now.
Because the goal is to kind of wheel this in somewhat stock form as we continue to upgrade things along the way. But you really get some cool features with this Jeep. You don't get lockers,
No.
but in the rear, what do we got?
You got a limited slip diff differential.
Yeah, on a Dana 44, right? So you have a bigger axle than you would have on a regular Sport.
Yeah.
Now the front axle is
It's 30.
It's
It's a
still
Dana 30.
so
Yeah.
we can do some stuff to strengthen that up. But it's a good little package. That limited slip differential is going to help you get through quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now, suspension-wise, underneath there, it's got a lot of surface rust. Yeah. And so I think what we need to do is actually just pull some of that off little by little, give it a good sanding and wire brushing and paint it, and then reinstall it. Maybe some of that stuff we can just go ahead and upgrade in the meantime, but you don't want that rust to continue on. But just about everything under there, including the shocks, has a lot of surface rust under there.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be some work, but it's nothing too serious.
No, it's for what we paid for this, for what we got, I think it's worth it. So lift, no 6-inch lift on this thing.
No 6-inch lift.
Is the goal 37-inch tires on this thing?
It is not. I don't even know if it's 35s. I want to get to 33s, which you
Yeah.
said we need like an 1.5 inch lift for.
Yeah.
But we'll see down the road. Maybe I'll change my mind. But for now, I don't want to go anything too crazy.
Yeah, I think a little bit of lift just to give you a little bit of clearance, and so we can put a little taller and a little wider tire on will be nice. But, you know, if we go with 33s, a little bit wider, you know, it's going to give you a little bit more capability and still maintain that drivability, so that'll be good. But right now, we just got to get rid of these old guys. They are, yeah. The previous owner didn't do a good job with rotating them.
They did not.
They did not, so... Okay, what gear ratio comes with this?
It's a 3.73.
Yeah, so 373, it's really good for this. And even if we go to a 33-inch tire, I don't think we need to upgrade that.
No.
If you decide to go 35s down the road,
Yeah.
we'll figure that out. But otherwise, I don't think that's necessary. I do think one thing, and I don't think we've really talked about this much, but some skid plates underneath. Maybe get an aluminum skid plate so it doesn't weigh much, but that way, you know, if you find yourself in a situation where there's some rocks or whatnot, we're not banging things up. And that's an easy install. It's not going to add weight. So I think that is super important to do. And then what do you think about some rock lights under there? That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean some good, maybe some ambers or, you know, I don't think we can find yellow, but something that gives it some kind of cool little thing. And that'll be nice for camping. You know, not so much for rock crawling, but to be able to turn the rock lights on and just have a little ambiance
Just have
light.
something, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. So, all right, let's hop to the back. We still got more to talk about. All right, so it's a two-door. Yep. Vehicle weight rating, gross vehicle weight rating is an important number to think about. So what's your payload capacity on this little guy?
700 pounds.
Okay, and you weigh
160-ish.
160. So that gives you quite a bit of weight.
Yeah, about 540 pounds.
We don't need to put that much weight on this vehicle at all. And I like your mentality of just keeping things simple for camping. You know, going with just some basic hiking gear, you know, little minimal stuff, just the basics that you need. Right now, you just got a bunch of bags in there. You got an old cooler. I mean, that works. But
Yeah, for now.
upgrade some stuff along the way, but not 500 pounds worth of stuff. What do you think about, you know, building out like a platform or maybe even a drawer, fridge slider? Do you think you need any of that stuff?
It would be nice to have. It may be difficult just with like the speaker system. We'd have to rework some stuff, but I definitely would like a bit more storage. It'd be cool to have a fridge in here at some point.
Okay. I think that's a good idea. And, you know, one of the most functional things that I have on my Jeep that we've put on all the Jeeps is a tailgate table. I think you'll really be happy with having something like that. And then I think what we'll do is we'll figure out some kind of light that we can either build in this little box or do an LED strip. That way when you're out here cooking or you're getting your gear, you have some light down there. But yeah, I mean, pretty surprised, 700 pounds for a two-door. Now, you're not towing.
No.
There's no trailer hitch on this. But what do you think about the bumper? Are you okay with the bumper? Is that something you want to upgrade?
It's all right for now. I'd like to change it up eventually. I mean, the gloss is okay.
Okay.
Out of the factory.
Maybe just get rid of that plastic. But you do have the recovery point,
I do.
which is cool. And I think that 623, we got to keep that. It doesn't need to stay there because it's going to get ripped off on the trail. But we got to do something with that that'll make it kind of unique. One thing I think we didn't talk about was it does have the limited slip differential, but I think it's probably a good idea down the road to put lockers on here, even strengthening the axle shafts, doing some of that stuff just for peace of mind. It doesn't need to be done right now, but I think that limited slip differential is okay. But a locker is going to serve you much better down the road, especially if we can do front and rear. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But let's hop in the interior because you've already got a lot of ideas about the interior.
I do.
And the stereo is pretty good in this thing.
It's not bad.
Okay, now, look, I've had my JK going on 8 years. I've had a lot of fun doing stuff in the interior, pulling stuff out, putting stuff in. But I don't want you to feel like you have to do what I've done. I want you to do your own thing. Before we talk about the plan, let's talk about what we got. So you've got cloth seats.
I do.
What do you think about them?
They're nice, at least while it's hot and sitting in the sun, because I leave it out in the street. It doesn't get super hot, but some leather would be nice eventually.
Okay, and maybe something a little custom?
Yeah.
What do you think? Like a little yellow stitching, maybe?
I was thinking like black leather with some like yellow accents would look really rad.
All right, I'm down with that. Windows. Man, you're old school.
Yep.
No power windows in here.
I got to crank them down.
You know, it's funny because we got that, and then we went for a test drive, rolling down the windows, and we're like, you know, it's not that big a deal. What's the big deal?
It is the most minor of inconveniences.
Yeah, it's not even really an inconvenience. I mean, it's so quick to be able to roll a window up and down using that. It's not a big deal at all. Stereo, so you have a little bit nicer stereo than mine came with. Plus, you've got the Alpine speakers with the subwoofer.
The sound system itself and the speakers are really nice. The stereo has some problems, so I would like to replace that eventually. But like for now, it's fine. It does its job.
I mean, you got Bluetooth, so you can use your phone, but there's no Apple CarPlay, there's no navigation, none of that stuff. So maybe a different head unit would be pretty nice.
Yeah.
Okay, you're using the suction cup mount on the window for your phone, but we don't need to do that.
No.
What do you think?
I want to get the bar that
Yeah.
you have on your JK just because it's so convenient, not just for like a phone mount, but for a GoPro mount, potentially for a radio. There's just a lot more options I'll have if I can get that installed, and I won't have to have anything on the window.
Yeah, as we were talking about this, I was thinking, that Vector off-road bar that I've had on there, I've had that on there for 5 or 6 years. It's one of the most practical things that I've installed on my Jeep, and it's not very expensive. So I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with that. One thing I think you definitely need is we need to do some headliners in here, and not the Mopar ones. No offense, Mopar, but they're too thin. I like the hot headliners because they're thick. They're going to give you some sound deadening, and when we're out in places like this in the summer, this is going to get pretty hot, and so that'll help, one, with the heat, but two, you like your tunes, and so I think that'll help with the sound quality inside here as well.
Oh yeah.
I think something else that's important is, it's nice to have a handheld radio, but a permanent comm solution is going to be good for you. So we can definitely install a GMRS radio.
Yep.
And there's only a couple choices you really have on where to mount that, so we'll figure that out and get that knocked out. But you know what? It's a good little Jeep. I mean, 55,000 miles. This thing is in excellent condition.
Super clean on the inside.
Super clean.
Yeah.
All right, so I think there's a handful of things that we're going to do right away. One, we don't know when the oil was last changed.
No, so we got to do that soon.
Do that. And you don't want to do like your brother did and change the transmission fluid.
I think I'm going to be a little more cautious than he was.
Yeah, but oil change, air filter, just some basic maintenance. One thing we realized as we were coming up here is, it flexes out pretty good, but you lifted a tire.
I did.
So I think what we need to do is get some quick release for your sway bar end links, so that way you can disconnect a little bit, because it's not a Rubicon, so it doesn't have that sway bar end link disconnect button. But I think some general maintenance, and again, just pulling some of that those parts off and repainting them and preserving them. And I know, you know, the Willys logo is pretty cool, but you kind of want to do something custom.
It's unique, but I don't love it here. You know, there's nothing super special about it, so I'd like to take that off. Maybe put some TrailRecon or some cool name of the vehicle whenever I come up with that.
Okay.
So
yeah. You got to name. We got to name the project for whatever reason. It's important to do that. I don't know. It's just a thing. Look. I think this is an awesome platform for you. I think this is going to be a great adventure vehicle, and I like the way you're approaching this. You know, I remember when I first got my Jeep, I thought, you know, I didn't need to do anything to it, and of course, you know, that's changed over the years, and you may evolve as you go along too. You know, right now this is going to work well for you. You're going to join me on some adventures, and I think you're probably going to go just about everywhere you need to go in a little two-door with 33-inch tires and a little bit of lift. But you want to go have some of your own adventures.
Yep.
Go do some camping. Come out here to some of these great places, and you know what? You don't have to follow Dad all the time. You can kind of do your own thing, and maybe take the camera with you and go have some adventures and share it with these guys.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I think that'll be pretty cool. So I'm stoked, man. I think it'll be fun. So first and foremost, let's go have a good time on this trail and continue to get this thing dirty.
Oh, yeah.
And then we need to get this in the garage and do a little bit of work on it.
Yep.
You ready to start working on this thing?
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, I hope that you're as excited about this little Jeep as we are. We're super excited about it. If you have not visited us over at TrailRecon.com, make sure you check it out. We've got all kinds of gear over there to outfit your next adventure. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss what we've got in store for this thing. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.